Hey everyone. I hope that you enjoyed watching The True Cost last week. And this week we're jumping into culture and media. I think The True Cost is a great piece to sort of bridge the two topics of capitalism and culture. Um, you really can't separate the two for us, right? So as Americans, we've become so accustomed to the culture that capitalism has afforded us. We grow up in these different institutions preparing to partake in the labor workforce, right? And that's as a direct result of capitalism being the type of political sort of economy that we've grown up in. Um, we know that we need to prepare ourselves to become good workers. We need to learn how to be to our discussion of Annette. Family is actually preparing their children to enter the workforce in the capacity that that family sees fit for them. So even that institution of the family, something that you don't think of money when you think of the family, right? You're not thinking about family. If you dig into it, you get into gender norms. You could think about race and all of those other things we've talked about. But to back it up a little bit, it's not the first thing that comes to mind. And so I think that's what's really fascinating about the concept of capitalism, and it's the reason that I like to talk about it so early in the semester. And of course, this semester was a little bit adjusted, so it came a bit later. But um, we really, like anything else, we can't think about the culture that we live in without thinking about how all the different facets of it have been shaped by capitalism, at least in the United States. Media, on the is dealing with capitalism in similar ways, but also with a capitalist goal. There are ways that media, and so when there's a need to profit in the creation of these different media, especially mass media, media that will be with the intention of being consumed by large populations, you have to question what kinds of messaging goes into that media. Why do those messages exist? Is it to appeal to the masses, and is it playing on stereotypes? Is it playing on recognizable features that will be palatable, that will be consumable to most people in a given society, right? Because the more people you can get to consume your product, the more profit you earn. And so, of course, we're talking about things like Hollywood blockbusters, music that is going to be played on the radio, and so seeking. And so sometimes when you even compare within the institution of media itself, um, you can see how the drive for profit or not maybe shaped the content that particular form of media, or that particular studio, or whoever it might be, that they've been able to produce. And so just some interesting stuff to think about, just jumping in here. So I want you to take a second after I tell you to pause, and then pause the video, or actually, no, I'm going to cut the video off after this. I'm still getting used to this recorded lecture thing, so I'm probably going to say some silly things here, but forgive me. Okay, I'm going to end the video after this, but I want you to answer this question in your worksheet. I want you to think about a tradition that you have participated in with your family since your childhood, and I want you to think about how that tradition is embedded in cultural roots. So really think about your own family's ethnic background. Think about your religious background. You know, these different facets of culture that might have played a role in shaping the traditions that you have participated in as you've grown up. And I want you to also consider how this tradition is ritualistic. So, has it changed through time? Has it morphed through time? Something to be said about the fact that if this ritual does not occur on its sort of temporal basis, you know, does it feel like something is off? Does it feel like something is wrong? Some people might be thinking about this right now with a couple holidays coming up and the way that we aren't really able to gather with our extended family anymore. Some people can't gather with any of their family in a physical sense. So rituals are about to be pretty disrupted, and already have been, you know, across the world. So it's something to consider and question, what does it mean for a ritual to change? So I want you to think about this tradition for yourself and question how it's been ritualized. This is kind of the most important question. I want you to think about one thing that the tradition expresses about your family's belief system. So you don't just open presents on Christmas morning. Let's say your family, right? Or if you're not and you have been inundated with messages about Christmas morning through all of the holiday movies that have been on in the background, all the practice, you're pretty familiar with it. You know, unfortunately, we don't have sort of a mass proliferation of a more inclusive holiday structure. But anyway, to use Christmas as an example, you know, we're not opening just out of nowhere, right? There's some kind of underlying reason behind that. There's something that those presents are supposed to symbolize, and they symbolic in this kind of cultural way. So what's behind that? And I want you to think about a ritual that's not Christmas morning, since I'm using that example here. Think about something else and try to go a little bit outside of the box. Holidays are kind of an easy one, and you can go with that if you can't think of anything else. But maybe some kind of like birthday tradition, maybe something that particular holiday, but it's just something the family has decided that once a year, once a month, you do this together. So just try to come up with something unique and or something meaningful, I think is probably more important, and answer this question. All right, I'll see you in the next video.